Hey guys, I am Dad Hippie, and we're here with another top 10 video today because I promised I would do one. I was supposed to do it yesterday, but I didn't. But today I'm going to be doing my personal top 10 list of video games that the love for the game didn't hold up after the first time I played it. So here we go. Nostalgia lost video games. Okay, number 10, coming in number 10. I know, surprise for all of you, Call of Duty. I'm talking about the older Call of Duties, the ones that like World War II, stuff like that. The ones that were very story driven. You wanted to play the solo player before multiplayer was even a big thing in Call of Duty. Um, I went back and I replayed Call of Duty 2 the other day, and the story just it didn't seem as epic as I remembered it to be. So that's why I got number 10. The story just didn't seem to keep the same intensity after the first time you play it. It's not as important, apparently. Number 9, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. First time I played it was a great game. I actually beat it and it felt amazing. But just a little bit ago, I went through it again, and it didn't hold the same kind of love that I felt for it the first time. So I beat it. I didn't feel the same level of satisfaction. I didn't feel any level of satisfaction for beating it again. I don't think Majora's Mask had any level of replayability. It's the exact same game both times, and it actually made it not as lovable memory for me. So Majora's Mask got number 9. This next one's probably going to get me a lot more hate than Majora Mask because of the two, it was definitely the better, well received Legend of Zelda game. But Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Now, I didn't play this game for the first time until about 3 years after it came out. I know I was behind. I wasn't really a big Legend of Zelda person. I mean, Majora's Mask was definitely. I played that the moment it came out. It was great. I loved it. Amazing. Well, somebody told me to play Ocarina of Time. I did, and the first time I went through it, it was a really interesting game. It was kind of cool. You going back and forth through time and shit. But going through it again now, the puzzles seem extremely easy. There's like no level of difficulty to it anymore. I think that goes for every Legend of Zelda game. Like once you beat it, there's no reason to play it again, but people still do. I don't get it. I don't feel the same level of satisfaction for it. I mean, Prince of Persia, I can always play through because no matter how many times you beat it, it's always difficult. Especially if you put it on the hardest difficulty. Those puzzles are insane. There's no way you can memorize all of them. You have to go up here, hit this switch, climb all the way back down, get over a giant fucking lava pit, go all the way back up to click the button. Then you got to go back down to the door, find a giant ass boss just to climb up the door and hit the last switch, come back down and swing through the open door. Prince of Persia is freaking crazy. It is, and then the combat is so difficult. Not that it's like confusing and hard to get. No, it's just all the enemies in there are at least your level of strength or harder than you. It is so intense. So intense. Prince of Persia is awesome. Timeless. I'm speaking like the original Prince of Persia's, like the Warrior Within for the PlayStation 1. Two Thrones was pretty good. Some of the ones after that, they started going downhill in level of difficulty. But the old Prince of Persia games, especially the arcade version, my God, I had the arcade version on my PS3, and it was just no, I can't do it anymore. I can't play on video games that level that difficult anymore. I just can't do it. I've played too many like KOTORs. But okay, and then moving on, yeah, Ocarina of Time didn't hold up through time. Number 7, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Yeah, it is a very important part of the video game storyline, but when you play through it once, it's no longer fun to play through it again, even on a harder difficulty. And I'm speaking Chain of Memories, the PlayStation 2 version. If you played the Game Boy Advance version, I feel so sorry for you because that is the shittiest way you could play that game. It is. I've played both versions. The Game Boy Advance version sucks. Ass. Hard. But the PS2 version, I had great nostalgia for Chain of Memories. It's probably one of my favorite installments in the Kingdom Hearts series, aside from 358 Over 2 Days. Those are probably my two favorites because they are both incredible. But whereas 358 Over 2 Days, you can go through multiple times and still feel deeply engrossed in Rox's story, you don't really get that with Chain of Memories. You don't really feel as connected to Sora as you did in Kingdom Hearts 1. And then the parts where you play as Riku, you don't really feel connected to Riku at all either. And it's like, it's not really worth it to go through it again. I mean, if you can play through it and remember it completely, then you don't do it. But if you forgot something from Chain of Memories or you don't remember the story of Chain of Memories, go ahead and play through it again. If you don't remember, it is pretty much the exact same way through, and it is a good like refreshment. But there's no satisfaction for beating it a second time. Um, while it is always interesting to go back into those worlds and see them different and stuff, yeah, but I just wish you could feel deeper connected to the characters. Maybe the only reason why I felt deeply connected to the characters in Chain of Memories is I played it right after I beat Kingdom Hearts 1 for the first time. Yeah, it took me a long ass time to beat Kingdom Hearts 1. A long ass time. Forever. Okay, number 6 coming in is a hack game. It's Hack Quantum. Yeah, anyone familiar with the Hack series? There's a bunch of different games, but the only one I ever actually played all the way through, was able to beat the entire game, was Hack Quantum. I've played all the other ones. I've gotten at least to the final boss, but I can never beat the final boss. Um, I've watched a playthrough of the oldest one, which I was never able to get my hands on. But Hack Quantum, it's probably the easiest one to beat, but then there's no replayability for it at all. Whereas all the other ones, I've been able to play through and get to the final boss like at least 6, 7, 8, maybe times, and it still feels fun to go through for all the other hack games. But Hack Quantum was definitely, it was a diluted, simplified version of the hack games, pretty much, and it was fun the first time, but then going through it again, it didn't feel as rewarding and it wasn't as fun. The humor in the hack games is still always kind of funny to see the humor in the hack games. It's kind of a sick, twisted humor, but it's still funny to me. So I guess we already knew I was sick and twisted. But moving on, number 5, Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. Now, of course, I love the story of Jaden Core. He's probably one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time, not excluding Revan. Excluding Revan, then he is my favorite Star Wars character. Jaden Core is amazing. He's awesome. The weirdest part is when he has to fight a clone of himself. So in that aspect, he's kind of like Star Killer because they do manage to clone him somehow. And then he has a female clone. Oh, it's weird. It's weird. His story's weird, but it's definitely really interesting. But the video game is his origin story. It's who it tells you the story of how he got to the temple, who trained him, the missions he did during his training, and then how he graduated. Bam. Pretty much he's defeating the disciples of Ragnos the whole time, which, if you read the books, it tells you he defeated the disciple of Ragnos while still being trained to be a Jedi Knight. So the game is actually like a prequel to the books because the books were written before the game was. So the books were out before the game. And then Jaden Core, well, he was kind of forgotten until the game came out. And then after the game came out, they had a comic book series and they restarted his books and stuff. So, I mean, Jaden Core is awesome. But the first time I played through this video game, I thought it was something brand new. Compared to every other Star Wars game I played, it was something completely different. It was amazing. The lightsaber combat was incredible. Even the way you fire blasters and shit in that game was kind of neat and unique. I liked the incorporation of the dual trigger system. Like holding down the left trigger does something different with the gun. Tapping the left trigger does something different. Tapping the right trigger does something different. Holding the right trigger does something different. I really liked how you had all those modes for your pistols and shit that you just, after that game, were just lost. I mean, the only other one that had that was Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast. And even looking at that, I think, yeah, number 5 is going to be a tie between both the Jedi Knight games. I mean, the first time you play through them, they're amazing. But after that, it just doesn't hold up. I mean, yeah, it's always fun to, like, kill shit with a lightsaber, but the nostalgia just doesn't hold up. Moving on. Number 4 is, yeah, one I played a lot in my childhood just to goof off in Toy Story's fucking world. It's Disney Extreme Skate. And the only reason why this one's on my list, it's not because it's no longer fun to goof off in worlds. No, that's still fun. There was actually a story mode to this game. There was actually a story to the game. The story doesn't add up now. When I was a kid, it was great. It was awesome. Greatest game ever. Now, I could care less. I just want to skate around people's fucking worlds. Go away, story mode. Stop giving me missions to do. I just want to skate. Disney Extreme Skate Adventure. The story doesn't add up. It doesn't hold up to today's world. Now that I look back on it, the story wasn't really that great when I was a kid either. But I just wanted to skate people's worlds. Like I just wanted to skate around in Andy's room. God damn it. Okay, and number 3 is God of War. The only reason why God of War is on this is not because the story, it's not because the combat. Combat's fun. The bosses, that's one reason. The boss battles. And the second reason is the puzzles. The boss battles don't hold up with later installments of games currently that are coming out now. So, looking now, you've got games like Dark Souls and games that are like incredibly difficult, which looking back on it when I played God of War 1 for the first time, I played it on the hardest difficulty available. And I played it all the way through, and it was extremely difficult, and it was fun. And it was kind of like Dark Souls in the fact that I probably died about 12 times through my first playthrough of God of War 1. Well, Dark Souls, you die a lot through any playthrough, on any difficulty. There's no way you can go through Dark Souls without dying, unless you're like an MLG pro motherfucker. I don't like MLGs, people. They're like annoying and shit. But so God of War 1, the bosses, they seemed difficult when I was a kid, when I first played through it on my PS2. But looking back on it now, I played through just a few weeks ago of God of War 1, which I have up there, on the hardest difficulty, and I beat it in like a day and a half. It's no longer difficult anymore. And the puzzles, they're like diluted fetch quests or hand-me-down puzzles that Prince of Persia didn't want. And the backtracking is just god-awful in God of War. Like God of War 2 doesn't have that much backtracking, but the first one, Jesus Christ, you backtrack all the way through Athens, you backtrack back all the way through Athens. It's fucking annoying. God. Damn. Okay. Moving on. Number 2. I'm going to move on before I blow a gasket on God of War. Number 2 is Digimon World 4. Digimon World 4. The other ones are amazing. Digimon World 2, great. Digimon World 3, I never played it because I didn't want to. I just wanted to play Digimon World 2. Digimon World 4 sucks fucking ass. God, it sucks so bad. It just sucks. Don't play it. I don't even know why I wanted to play it again, ever. Because when I was a kid, I wasn't happy with it either. God, it just sucks. It's a terrible game. It fucking blows. The only way you can even fucking beat it is if you're playing with 3 other people, which to do that, you had to hook up 2 of the game systems together to play the fucking game. It's just a terrible game. Don't do it. It sucks. It fucking sucks. The only way you're ever going to have any enjoyment is if you're playing with 3 of your buddies and you're all kicking people's ass. But if you're trying to play by yourself to go through, just fucking give up. Just have your Digimon run off the hill and suicide, because that's the only way you're going to get any level of enjoyment out of that game. It's by watching your Digimon fall off a cliff, which isn't enjoyable. That's terrible. Who the fuck would want their Digimon to kill themselves? That's just, no. And moving on, number 1. The number 1 game that the nostalgia didn't hold up for me is Champions of Norath. Anyone who played this game when it first came out knows what I'm talking about. It was an incredibly difficult RPG game that took a top-down perspective over your character, or your characters, depending on how many people you were playing with. It is a 1 to 4 person player campaign mode. It is extremely difficult and fun to go through on any of the difficulty levels for 1 to 4 players. And the story holds up through time. But the gameplay and the camera angles and the fucking fucking leveling system doesn't. It's god awful. The fucking combat sucks. It's not responsive. You have to mash the fucking button just for your character to do anything. And then the blocking doesn't want to fucking block any of the attacks that you're telling it to. And then your god awful fucking power wheel system that you can only have 2 powers active at one time, one on the circle button and one on the fucking triangle button. And then squares to pick shit up, but that's not responsive at all the times. And the X is the attack button, and it's fucking stupid. Don't even get me started on the camera. It's fucking horrible. Ugh. And then you can't use the D-pad to walk around. The D-pad's what opens up your power wheel so you can assign powers and shit. No. And then the mini-map in that game, the mini-map's fucking worthless. Because if you have it activated, it takes away part of the fucking screen for you to look at. And it's not like up on the middle or down over here. No, it's right in the middle of the fucking screen. It's like me putting my hand right here in front of my face as I'm talking to you guys. It's completely redundant. There's no point in having the mini-map up at that point, ever. It's stupid. Yeah, and the leveling system is annoying. You have to assign the points into shit, because if you don't, then you're gonna die. And the powers you start out with suck ass. And I understand it's an RPG game, and you're not supposed to have the greatest powers ever. But seriously, the cleric only gets holy fucking bolt until they reach level 5? Are you fucking stupid? Do you want people to hate your classes? I'm so glad RTA, Return to Arms, which is the sequel to Champion of the North, is still a great game, even to this day, because they changed the fucking leveling system, added 2 brand new characters, made the combat system better and more responsive, had an even more in-depth story. God damn it, why couldn't Khan have had all this shit, and then I wouldn't be having this fucking video? But no, they had to fucking suck. So before I fucking flip out on you guys, I'm gonna log off, like, now, because this is just insane, and I'm sorry, goodbye. Fuck it, peace out, see you in the next video.